I do not support this amendment. We should go back to the original motion, which is to accept the instructional materials as approved by the educators who reviewed the materials, who are experts in these fields of biology, environmental science, earth systems, principles of education and training, and health science theory.
Cy-Fair ISD board member Julie Heineman waging a losing battle to keep previously approved academic material from being yanked out of the district's curriculum by conservative trustees. Ultimately, the board voted to remove multiple chapters from textbooks, including material on controversial topics like vaccines, cultural diversity, and climate change. Panel material to be removed at Cy-Fair was previously approved by a state board of education dominated by conservative members. So what should we make of this additional culling at the third largest district in Texas, Holly Hansen?
Yeah, I spoke to one of the board members yesterday, board member Blassingame. And first of all, you need to understand is that the local districts, they get to choose the curriculum that their district's going to use. It's not imposed by the state. There's just certain standards they must meet. She told me that not all of these books were actually approved by the State Board of Education. And what they did is they looked at the actual text. They're the elected members of the board. They read through some of these texts and they found that there were some chapters that were very heavy-handed with political statements incorporated into the text. And, you know, conservative people who live in Cy-Fair have been very vocal over the past few years and past few election cycles. They flipped this board because they do want board members that will listen to parent concerns. So one of the concerns was in one of these books that there's 2 chapters about vaccines. One chapter is, you know, what we probably all studied growing up. The second one was a very heavy-handed political statement about COVID shots. In other cases, they're promoting zero population growth and, you know, some of these things that are more controversial and not the more neutral scientific information we'd want conveyed to our students. So they're answering to their constituency in this, and, you know, that's their prerogative, and that's what they have to answer to.
Paul Castro, like it or not, this is in your wheelhouse. What do you make?
Education's political. As Holly said, school boards get the responsibility to decide what instructional materials are used in schools. Elections have consequences. So there were 14% of the elected eligible voters in Cy-Fair voted at the last school board election. There were 2,000 votes or so separating the first and second place votes. It didn't go to runoffs. I don't think anybody got over 50% of their votes. And so if members of that community choose for their community to have a broader, more liberal way of looking at the curriculum, then they need to get out and vote. But this is exactly as designed. The State Board of Education selected materials that were allowable, passed it down to school boards. School boards get to select, and, you know, whether people like it or not is less important than this is the process that we use. Anything that sets off your alarm bells, Bill King?
I don't know. I read all the media reports on it. Of course, the media immediately pounced on this. Until I see what material was actually removed, I'd want to withhold judgment. But I do want to follow up something that Paul said, which is the turnout in these school board elections is just awful. I just went and voted in the Spring Branch school board election with 7% turnout. Part of that's because school districts make it difficult to vote in these elections. You know, I would like to see the state require, you know, school districts, water districts, all these special groups to have their elections on a standard election day run by the county clerk, so you can go in there and get all your voting done at once. This last time I went and voted, I had to go look for the HCAD election and then go look for the Spring Branch election. Now, most people are not going to do that.
All right, we're leaving it